Good morning and welcome to Skateboarding Mastery. Today we're going to talk about backside axle stalls. Okay, so what is a backside axle stall? You're going up the ramp. At the very end, you're starting to turn 90 degrees backside and your back truck is over the coping. You place your front trucks on and you fully lock in. That's a backside axle stall. And then with your back trucks, you push them more towards the coping and you're in this position where the board wants to fall back in, and you do exactly that. That's a safe backside axle stall. All right, so before we really start to tackle the backside axle stall, we do have to learn how to drop in from an axle stall. And if you saw my previous videos about the wheelie taps or kick turns, it's kind of really the same idea about the 90-90 turn. So you're on the coping, you're fully locked in. Let's imagine this is my front foot, this is my back foot. When you're locked in on the deck, on the coping, when you're starting to tilt your back foot with your back truck in the coping, the board starts to tilt in the ramp, and you naturally start to fall in, and then you just turn your shoulders 90 degrees slowly, and you can safely go in. I guess for many people, the scariest part is when you do tilt the trucks in, the board naturally wants to drop in, wants to fall in. So it's your job to turn your shoulders and to go in with the board. But I guess the feeling at first might be scary, but I promise once you commit, once you do it, you can do them all the time. All right, I'll show you a couple of drop-ins. So focus on what my back foot is doing. I'm tilting the board in, now my wheel is against the coping, and now the board wants to fall in the ramp. And it's my job to turn my shoulders slowly, don't rush this process. Turn my shoulders and go in. So why is this safe? Because when the wheel is against the coping, naturally, from physics standpoint, what's going to happen? You turn your shoulders, and now the only thing connecting the coping is your one wheel that was holding you before. And it's very simple to just roll over the coping when you turn your shoulders. So really what's happening, you're turning your shoulders and you're already here. And you can safely just ride away. I'll show you a couple of more. One more from this position. Back foot tilts the board, wheel is against the coping, it wants to drop in, and you just turn. Of course, there are other ways how to drop in from the axle stall. You can just like straight up be on top of the deck and start turning and just do a small hop and ride back in. That's all fine if you want to do those, that's totally cool. But this right here, when you place your wheel against the coping, this is the safest way how to do it. So I'd recommend starting with these. And one drop in from the front, why not? Wheel against the coping, go in. Okay, we talked about the drop-ins. Now how do we properly lock into a backside axle stall? When you're going up the ramp, your front wheels are almost at the coping, you do a slight manual and you start going over the coping. And it's really a timing thing, so it looks complicated, but it's timing and it's muscle memory, and it's going to set in really quick when you're starting to do them. When you're about this position, you start to turn 90 degrees backside, and your back trucks are going to lock over the coping. You know you're going to be in that sweet spot. It's going to lock in securely. And then you place your front down and you're in the backside axle stall position. Now, I see many people having this problem when they do this too early and they end up like this, or maybe if they are not doing it too early, they end up in a feeble, which is a cool trick, but a different trick. We'll get to those eventually. How to fix all these problems? When you're going up the ramp and you are starting to turn your shoulders. And I know this might sound hard, but here's the key element that helps. Try to put your hand on the coping where you want your front trucks to be. Now, you don't have to touch the coping, but just imagine you're pointing where you want to be, where you want your front trucks to be. And because you do that, your shoulders are going to turn that way and the trucks are going to be locked in. Let me show you some examples with the hand, how it works. Also, do a very tiny squat when you're at the very top of the coping. This is going to help the skateboard to stop the motion and lock you in more safely. There's another backside axle stall variant, which is the slash grind variant, where your only thing that's over the coping on are your two wheels. And it's basically a kick turn with your wheels over the coping, and you turn 90s and you go back in. That's a cool way if you're still not ready to fully commit being on the deck. I'll show you these as well. All right, thank you so much for watching Skateboarding Mastery, backside axle stall. Cool trick, but be safe. Start with the dropping in part. Place your back wheel against the coping and slowly tilt in with the board. You're going to ride away safely. And when you're going into the axle stall, remember to always fully turn your shoulders and point and look where you want your trucks to go. Your body and your skateboard is going to follow. As always, if you have questions, write them in the comments. I'll answer all of them. And I'll see you in the next video. See ya.